when you got in here. Um, Sorry, this is in my face and it's kind of annoying. Oh, there we go. That's a lot better. Okay, cool. So, let's do this. I did a search for a front-end developer. As you're looking for jobs, right? Like you want to make sure that you are looking in regions and areas that you want to work in. So your filters here are your best friend. Keep, make sure you're utilizing them, make sure you're kind of going through them, playing with different companies, playing with different salary ranges no matter you can use these, it will give you different results if you don't use them. So just rule of thumb, I would make sure you play with them. Um, all filters is great because you can kind of get down into like experience level, various companies, job types, locations. There's an industry tab. I love the industry tab because there are industries that have a notorious background to be a little bit more secure than other industries. So like software development, great companies, great base salaries, probably really fun work. However, they're have a history of sometimes being a little volatile. You know what I mean? Like if they lose funding or if their product goes under or they miss a deadline or whatever, it could pose issues for long-term employment. Maybe your contract gets dissolved, maybe they don't extend your contract, things like that. So going into the like looking for jobs, I always try to go very, very like a sniper scope first. Like not that many jobs. Just go very, very specific. So financial services, kind of a good market from what I understand, from what I see in the market. I do like financial services companies. They pay pretty well. They like people to be there long term. They have a very specific environments, so it's highly regulated. But once you learn them, they don't want to keep training new people, so they typically keep people on, which is a good place to be. And also, if you have any interest in security, financial services companies are a great place to start because they have to secure all people's information and their asset management knowledge and XYZ. So it's kind of a nice place to start if security is something you're interested in. Um, and then kind of going from there, like I like healthcare, so you can add an industry.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
Healthcare.
I
Go
so,
ahead.
so I mean we can add like two combination, like a healthcare with the software development, right? We can put these two combinations.
Yeah, so like if you want to do software development and financial services, let's try that first. Wow, this thing is just in my way. Sorry, I have like the little bar that everybody's pictures are in that's just like always in my screen. Um, okay, cool. So leave Java developer. And also, here's the thing with some of these postings, you'll see like JobBot. Like this is a recruiting agency if you guys aren't familiar with them.
Uh-huh.
This is a real role. So if you wanted to do something like this, I would definitely apply internally first and then go on to JobBot and look at the location. So all staffing agencies are kind of siloed based on location and region. So this is Boulder, Colorado. The rep that I would be reaching out to just to introduce myself, maybe send a connection request with a note. Hi, I just applied to the staff full stack engineer front-end learning position through JobBot. It was an easy apply on LinkedIn. I noticed that it was located in Boulder and I thought you'd be the right point of contact. So the reason why I mention that is because sometimes like Kforce, for instance, the company I work for, we have thousands of employees. We have an office in every state in the country. So when you see a job posting from us, trying to figure out what recruiter to reach out to is probably near impossible. Remembering that staffing agencies have to be siloed by region will really help you out because now you know, like, okay, instead of looking at the entire company, I can at least focus on one city and one state, and hopefully I'll be able to find the right person to connect with and just kind of like send a little message out to separate yourself from the other applicants. Um, Piece that I forgot to mention, past 24 hours, I always start here. Always, always, always start past 24 hours. You're just going to get things that are a little bit earlier. Like this is 9 applicants 4 hours ago, 10 applicants, as opposed to if you did any time. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, see, over 100 did an easy apply with ADP. Um, Over 116, that's not terrible. But yeah, so as you're going through here, I would just make sure that you're using your filters. So we'll start with tw the past 24 hours. And then let's say this was a job that you thought you wanted to do. So you kind of come into here. This is also nice because you can see what state you're in. Looks like they're open to many states. Um, Noah, what would be your first, like, let's say you opened a job description. What would be the first few things that you look for in a job description?
I'm gonna look for the requirements, what they want me to know. Um, I'm gonna look for the experience first.
Mm-hmm.
They look
Yeah,
for 5+ years experience.
got it. Yeah, perfect. So as you're looking through this, I mean, 5+ years of experience building engineering exceptional user interfaces. So
Yeah,
seems very UI focused, right? Which makes sense because it's a front end leaning position, which, I mean, I like the fact that they put front end leading because, like I said, sometimes the titles don't work for what the role is. For instance, I'm working on a role right now, and the title is endpoint. What is it? Endpoint configuration management specialist. It's a help desk role. They're managing laptop deployments. It's essentially what they're doing. But the title is just so insane. Like you would never think that it's just like a level one help desk position with a university. So just kind of look at the actual meat and potatoes of the job, user interfaces, React mastery experience. As you're going through here, as I mentioned, a lot of these are going to be nice to haves, things like that. So my rule of thumb is if you feel like you can do the job based off of a majority of the bullet points, like a majority of these must-haves, it's worth an application. Especially with some of these getting 100+ applications, it's worth at least throwing your hat in the ring and seeing if anybody responds to you. Not out of desperation, but you can do the job. A lot of the times they'll put all these bullet points on here to try to deter the amount of applicants. If we
but
post a job through Kforce and we get 100 applicants, three of them will probably be qualified. So you're definitely not going out of pocket by applying to a job that you don't hit 100%, um, if that makes sense.
the questionnaire is I can see the languages they ask for: Python, the Django. Like I don't know why using a lot.
Hmm.
Is it the Django is a Python library? So yeah, for us it's a TypeScript. So it's kind of weird why they're using Python for backend.
Yeah, you see, and then it kind of depends on the environment as well. So we can kind of keep looking through here, and you can also this section up here does work as a Boolean string, so that you can put and TypeScript if you want. Let's see what comes up. So this is a great example. Meet the hiring team. So Harsh is in here. I would connect with Harsh for sure. And as you're connecting with him, send or add a note to it, and then it's only 300 characters, right? But ChatGPT and Copilot are your best friends with stuff like this. So I'd write whatever you want. A normal message. Hi, my name's Noah. I applied to XYZ job. This is the reason why I think I'd be a good fit for it. I'd love to learn a little bit more if you have 10 to 15 minutes to chat with me. And then let's say it's over 300 characters. Just copy and paste it, throw it in a Copilot, and tell Copilot to make it 300 characters. I've spent so much time sitting here playing with messages, trying to make them have enough information, but still stay within the 300 character threshold. So just utilize ChatGPT or Copilot for something like that, and it really just make things easier. Um, but
Harsh is a recruiter or like a
Harsh is, I would imagine, yeah, a technical recruiter.
okay.
And then this position looks like it might be a contract role because if you look at Quantum World is IT services and consulting. So let's take a look back at this position. Fixed income, remote. Oh yeah, they're open to C to C. So yeah, this would be it looks like this is a contract position. And check it out. He even has his phone number and extension. So if you're feeling bold and you want to give this person a call, you can also do that to introduce yourself. I would say, just a rule of thumb, if there's a lot of information like this posted on a job posting, I'd be a little weary. I would be. I think unfortunately there is a lot of job postings out there that are there to gather information and data from the market. They want to know how much money you're looking for, not for like any malicious intent, but like they'll probably sell your data or they'll put you on an email list or something like that. Like I don't think you're going to get like anything crazy will happen. I've never seen any horror stories like that, but there are fraudulent positions posted on here. Seeing something like this makes me feel like this might be one of those. But I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
I also don't know for sure. So you have to kind of like you just have to be careful, kind of think about things. The best way to see that, here, let's do this. Should have done this in the first place. Um, don't believe everything you see on LinkedIn too. It's not hard to make a LinkedIn profile. Anybody can make a LinkedIn profile, especially for a company. Um, so there's 1,000 employees. So typically what I'll do is like if I'm interested in a company and I'm getting a weird feeling about them and like it seems too good to be true. There's too much information. No one applied to the job. The pay is really good. I'll come in here and look at different people to just see what I like if there's any red flags that just look a little funky. But right now it just looks like a normal company. There's 1,000 people there. Typically for 1,000 people, that's a lot of work just to make a fraudulent LinkedIn page. So if this fraudulent, good kudos to them. I mean, I think it took a lot of time, but I think this one might be something good to look at. But yeah, kind of go through these and then that's the process really is just making sure that you look at these must-haves. If anybody is in listed as like, please reach out to this person for the job. I would definitely reach out to that person,
Mhm.
at least send them a connection request to set yourself apart from others.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of these are just consulting agencies, to be honest with you. Dice is consulting. What's this Toast one? Does that make sense? Does that help with anything so far, Noah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. The other thing that I wanted to mention on this call too was LinkedIn networking. I'm gonna show you guys a few people that are your fellow alumni from LearningFuze that are really good at this, like very good. Caitlin, and I hope she's okay with me showing her LinkedIn profile. I definitely did not ask her, but she's very nice, so I'm sure she is. She's so good at LinkedIn networking. Here's some examples. So like if you just go to her profile, anything that she does, and it's not like it's not super insane stuff. She's just very thoughtful in kind of what she posts. So she saw this posting, she read through it, liked what it said, and made a post about it. And it got a little bit of traction, liked by 15 people, two people reposted it. She went to a networking event. I actually was at this networking event. This guy's really, really cool. He like climbs mountains and talks and like has a whole AI company that combats deep fakes and he's a very, very cool guy. Um, but she made a post about it. She tagged him, who's a CEO, mind you. And if he ever has open positions in the future, I guarantee he's going to be utilizing someone that made an entire post thanking him for his talk. You know what I mean? And she just took pictures during the talk and she posts them, and that's it. I mean, two comments, 15 likes. It's great traction. It really is. And this is all stuff that's going to set you apart from other people. When you apply to a job, especially through an agency, the first thing I do is I go and look at their LinkedIn posts. It's a good way for me to understand like, okay, is this person invested in their community? Do they want to work in tech? Do they enjoy working in tech? Also, not to be rude or anything, but sometimes it's a good way of understanding if people are a little crazy. because this is a professional platform. This is something that your employers will look at, your colleagues will look at, things like that. Like this is not Instagram, this is not Twitter, this is not Facebook. So if you keep your LinkedIn clean and professional, it goes a long way. A lot of people have political stuff on here. A lot of people post things with like their family and stuff like that. Not like that any of that's bad, but it's a good way for a recruiter like myself to get an insight into what you guys like to do professionally and what you find interests in. Same with employers. Another example would be Allison. I like Allison's about section. It's very detailed. This section is crucial for working with recruiting agencies. If you are talking to a good recruiter, they will read this section. If you ever have anything in this section that is very clear and concise to what you're looking for, as in now I'm channeling the same energy into tech, she has her technologies, TypeScript, HTML, CSS, React. If she gets a call from a recruiter and they're like, "Hey, I have a Python developer position that you look great for," that's the best way to know that that recruiter's probably not the best at what they do. It's written right here what you're looking for: TypeScript, HTML, CSS, and React. So that's also a good surefire way to make sure that people are reading your profile and understanding what you do and actually have a job that fits with what you're looking for and what your skill sets are. Um, if we look at Allison's posts, same thing. And this is a great example of just being active and not having to worry about saying so much. She just said, "I love this post from Fatima." Here we go. That's it. And it regards what she works on. Front end, nice little image. Front end engineer putting out fires. Oop, one too many clicks. But yeah, look, she posted her certification. This is a great post too. Now employers know that she's certified. She has some experience in the space. She kind of knows what she's looking for. She's ready for that next step. John is also a great contact. I don't know if you guys have met John yet. I know that he does some stuff with LearningFuze too. He's very, very helpful. I would connect with him at some point. Um, but yeah, I thought this would be helpful just to at least see some stuff. You can also comment on people's posts and just kind of go from that way too, like hiring at Uber. Allison shot her shot. You know what I mean? Like that's great. Hi, Michelle. I've applied. Blah 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 blah. These are all really good ways. Oh, look, Carolyn's here. But yeah, these are all really good ways to just make sure you're staying active within their LinkedIn community. And as much as your name is coming up there among hiring managers, it will higher your chances. It's this entire industry is all kind of who you know, what crowds you run with, who you follow on LinkedIn, things like that. So this is also a really great way of just growing your space on LinkedIn too. Yeah. Any questions there? Cool. Um, Anything else in terms of like maybe first round interview questions? Does anybody have any interviews that are lined up that they are nervous about or want to cover or um, do you guys want to hear about interview uh, what's it called? Like bad interviews, like things not to do on interviews. I have thousands of stories of things not to do on interviews that people probably would never think of. So
That's
we could go, what was that?
that's a good idea, I think. Because
Okay, cool. Yeah.
it's like
So
one thing even getting an interview, and that's another thing actually passing all the rounds of an interview.
yeah. So typically interview processes, our first rounds are typically virtual, right? So it's either a phone call or a Zoom interview. Zoom interviews, any kind of virtual interviews, take them from a desk, please. Please don't take them from your car. Don't take them from McDonald's. Don't take them from Starbucks. It's insane that this is something that I have to even say, but like the other day we had a candidate take an interview from McDonald's and he was eating breakfast while he was doing his interview.
God.
The hiring manager ended the call so fast. Um, and it's just like it's little things that we don't prep on because you don't think that that's something that's that hard to understand, right? Like you're doing a professional interview, like you should be in a professional setting of some sort. So don't be afraid to push back on times. That's another thing. Like sometimes I do feel bad for these candidates that currently have jobs, or let's say they're a parent and they send an email of for a first round interview for a pickup time or a drop off time where they're dropping off their kids at school. If you can't make that time, tell them, hey, I cannot make this time. I want to be ready and dialed in for this interview. Can we push it an hour? Just need to get back home to my home office so I can actually focus during this interview. That's okay to say. Um, if you are already scheduled for an interview and you need to reschedule it, you are allowed to reschedule an interview. That is okay. It's all about communication and timing. Things come up, life happens. No one can predict what life holds. So if you have an interview scheduled with somebody, and instead of just trying to make it work, um, just send the hiring manager or the recruiter an email and just say like, hey, obviously do your best to make it work, but like if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I always say never force the interview. It should be at a good time. You should feel confident about the interview. You should also feel prepared for the interview too. So that kind of goes into like my next piece for interviews. You're only as good as your preparation. Ask questions before your interview. This is why working with recruiting agencies does typically give you an upper leg because we know the hiring managers. Most of these hiring managers that I've worked with, I've already placed candidates with. We've worked with them for a couple years. I know the questions they ask. I know their demeanors. I know kind of like what they like, what they don't like, things along those lines. So I can prep candidates before a first round to be like, hey, look, this guy's kind of dry. He's not going to laugh. He's not really going to like ask you any questions about your personal life. He's going to come into the interview. He's going to ask you probably 10 technical questions. He'll ask you if you have any questions, and then the interview's going to end. That's it. Whether he likes you or not, that's how the interview is going to go. So I can kind of prepare these candidates to expect things like that. That is the benefit of working with an agency. Um, so just keep that in mind too. You're only as good as your preparation. Make sure you're looking at these people's LinkedIn profiles before. Try to find commonalities and backgrounds. If you guys have the same cert, how long did it take you to get that cert? Did you have to take the test once or twice? Did you pass it first go around? Is that something that you want to mention? Um, Things along those lines that just really help. Uh, a few other horror story. Like, I mean, I've had candidates join like in their car while they're driving, like physically driving. They'll prop their phone up in like this, like where the speedometer is, and you can see their wheel turning over the camera. Those have been really bad. I've had candidates that have gone on site in t-shirts and shorts for an on-site interview. Um, you know, the best advice that I've gotten, and I'm in sales, so it's a little different than technology. I know technology typically attire is a bit more relaxed given the organization. If you're working for like a financial institution, engineers wear the same thing as your brokers. Everybody's in a button up, everybody's in a suit. It's just very, very streamlined. But if you're working for like a SaaS company, yeah, polo and jeans with some nice shoes or something like that, or the equivalent for a female or whatever. It's just very lax. But anyway, I for interviews, dress for the position you want. Always, 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 always. Button up, slacks, nice blouse, whatever. You might not wear that every day, but you're wearing it for a first impression, and that does mean a lot, regardless of what their expectations are on a day-to-day basis. Just dress up for these interviews. It shows that you care. It shows that you want the job. Make sure like your just overall presence is clean and professional. It's going to go a long way, especially in tech and engineering. Um, that's another one that's like, I mean, horror stories for people, especially like the Bay Area was tough. Is everybody's just a little bit more relaxed in the Bay Area. So people think that just interviews should also be relaxed like that. And I've seen some crazy stuff. Um, but yeah, I hope that helps. Also, don't be afraid to role play with friends. Like if you get scheduled for a first round interview, call your friend, call your significant other and say like, "Hey, I'm just going to tell you about what I do for 2 or 3 minutes. Just let me tell you about projects that I've worked on. talk about technology, talk about your resume, pull up your resume and tell them like, hey, this bullet, this is what this bullet means, and explain it to them like they have no idea what you're talking about. Just get used to talking about your experience at a very, very, very open level. The best interview advice is it's a conversation. It really is. You're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. You don't have to take the job. I mean, everybody wants the job, but you don't have to take it. So make sure you're asking good questions and you're understanding what that day looks like. If the workload's going to be something you want to do, maybe the team is only two people and you want to work on a team of six people. Now we're getting a little picky, but like those are things that you should be finding out on these interviews to help you make your decisions.
Call me too. I don't know anything about the tech that you guys do, so.
Yeah, I mean it's great to talk to people that have no that's how I learned tech. Like I started in recruiting. I had no idea. I started recruiting salespeople too. Like literally dudes like me, just that sell. We'd sit on the phone and talk about money all day. That's really what it came down to is like how much money you want to make. I can get you more money here. And that's kind of what the conversations were. I shifted into engineering and then I realized that I was so out of my league. It was a lot to handle. There was a lot of specific nuances to each tech stack, what full stack developers did, backend developers, DevOps, data engineering, cybersecurity, machine learning. I mean, the list goes on and on. So speaking with people that don't know what you're talking about does definitely help because you have to explain it. And during an interview, that person knows what you're talking about, but they want you to explain it to make sure you know what you're talking about. So if you get used to actually having those conversations and making sure that you can explain something at a very remedial level, that shows more knowledge, in my opinion, than if you can go up to somebody who knows exactly what you're talking about and say, yeah, I did that Python on the back end for these reasons and it worked. And yeah, they're like, okay, cool, that's awesome that it worked. But if you say, hey, I used Python on the back end for these reasons, these were some of the hangups that we had. I fixed those hangups doing this. We had this roadblock, fixed it doing this. Awesome, cool. Now you have an entire like story around one technology that you worked with instead of just saying, yeah, I use that. That definitely helps too, but it's more of a conversation. So, coding assessments. How do you guys feel about coding assessments for interviews?
Not very good at all.
Okay. Why?
Very, very negative experience.
What happened? If you
Well, I
don't mind me
spent
asking.
like the whole weekend working on this assessment they sent me, and now they're probably not even going to respond to me. I don't even know if I'm going to be in the mood to take another assessment, to tell you the truth.
Was it timed or was it just a take home?
No, it's just a take home.
And what were you not pleased with your results or like did they give you any feedback yet?
Not yet, no, but hopefully I'm just hoping they'll give me some feedback. I mean, I spent a lot of time on it and it just seems like if this is how the take home assessments will go, I don't know if this is for me, really.
When did you turn that one in?
On Monday,
Oh, yeah, give it some time. Give it some time. That's still early. Yeah, that's still early. I would say that you should get some feedback or was this through directly into a company or through agencies?
oh no, it was directly through someone, through this, like, the founder or whatever, the
Oh,
startup.
okay. Okay. Oh, and that's the startup one?
That's
No,
the startup, yeah.
you'll hear back for sure. I promise you'll hear back. Give it some time. What I would do is if you haven't followed up yet, follow up today. You can wait until this afternoon if you want, depending on when you sent it in. Like let's say you sent it in like Monday morning. Um, what I always like to remind candidates of is let's say like that one role they're working on, there's probably like five or six other positions that they're trying to fill at the same time. So positions will take priority based off of like how much strain that position is putting on the organization. So let's say for your role that you're interviewing for, maybe it's like a level five pain point for them. They probably have like a level one, two, and three pain point that's getting a lot of their attention. So they're pushing those interview processes first. Sometimes the other thing you have to remember too is when organizations, especially startups, are hiring multiple roles, they'll interview for like a software developer, But before that software developer gets hired, they need a manager for that software developer. So maybe they're interviewing software developers at the same time, but they're trying to hire the manager first, so this person has a manager to come into. There's a lot of nuances that can happen within a startup. So don't feel too discouraged not getting feedback from them. Typically they do take longer. It's more of a long play than anything. But follow up for sure. So what I was going to say is, like, let's say you sent it in on Monday morning, wait until today in the afternoon and just send them a quick note and say, hey, I just wanted to follow up on my coding exam. I made sure I got that in by Monday morning. I had a lot of fun, doing it. I was really engaged, whatever you want to say. And then send that out, wait another 24 hours. If you still haven't heard anything, follow up again. This is not annoying, you know what I mean? Because to your point, you took time out of your weekend to complete that
I
exam.
mean, yeah, it's just like, exactly, and I cannot imagine how this works, like, for a job seeker, like, how many of these assessments does one have to take to actually get the job? I mean, this just seems like I'm already exhausted and overwhelmed, and I haven't even like started, because I'm just looking at it like realistically, and this is the reality.
Yeah. The take-home exams are tough. A lot of them are a lot harder than they need to be too, because they're trying to weed out all the applicants. You know what I mean? Like they don't want to talk to 50 people. They want to talk to 5 people. So they'll make the coding exams a little harder sometimes just to see if people can get through them. The take-home exams, in my opinion, are a little bit more challenging than the real-time coding assessments. So you'll notice this too throughout your interview process. Typically, they're on final rounds when they're like, "Hey, we want you to share screen and write this line of code for us, or automate this process for us," stuff like that. Those are a little bit better because you think about it like you're working. I think we talked about this on Monday too, but you just kind of think about it like you're working. So let's say someone says, "Hey, I want you to automate this process, share your screen and show me how you do it." Before you start that, ask questions, just like if you were working for them. If you were working for the company and someone said, "Hey, Caroline, I want you to go, I want you to do this," and you would respond and say, "Okay, well, what's it for? What's the end goal? What's the project? Where does it tie into?" There's so many other questions that you need to ask before you're just like, okay, you just go start writing code. So do that on an interview too. Like make sure, like act like you already have the job. Hey, we want you to do this. All right, cool. Why? Like, sure, I'll do it, but like I need to know the end goal so I can see if there's anything else that I need to be adding throughout this process. It helps you understand what they are actually looking for instead of just saying like, yeah, I'm gonna just automate this thing.
Mhm.
For what? Like, is it already automated? Am I updating it, customizing it, redesigning it? What's the process here? So ask those questions, ask those leading questions to better understand what this thing is for. Um, for the coding exam too, did you have a good understanding of like the actual material? Like,
I did, yeah, actually, it was like very clear and straightforward, and
good.
it was like the code was really neat and clean, and everything was kind of really well organized. But I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. But then of course I sent the wrong file to them on Monday, and then Tuesday I sent the correct file. I was just like, at that point I was like, whatever, I was just like,
Yeah.
I was surprised someone even reached out to me, so I was kind of like freaking out. So, it was
Was
also
that the first one you've done?
yeah, my first one, yeah,
Oh my
first
goodness.
one
Yeah.
out of like LearningFuze. So
You're being way too hard on yourself.
I
Yeah, no, yeah,
know,
no. It's okay. It's totally
yeah,
okay. Especially and also that's a really good point that you mistakenly sent the wrong link and then today you or on sorry, on Tuesday
yes,
you sent the right link. That could even be prolonging feedback too because they haven't gotten the correct link to kind of review in general. So it's all kind of adding up. So I don't think that you'll definitely get feedback of some regard. Um, and then don't be afraid to really internalize that feedback and understand how you can be better. That's totally fine too. So if let's say the coding exam didn't go well and they just say, hey, we're passing on you, I would respond to them and say, thank you so much for letting me know. This was the first coding assessment I've taken, and I'm kind of starting my interview process. Any feedback that you can give me on this exam would be very, very beneficial because then you can just go brush up on those things. I promise you, and this is a horrible thing to promise, but it's just comes with the territory. You will get passed on for other positions. Everybody does. I've gotten passed on for roles all the time. The best engineers will get passed on for positions. It's how you go about get once you're passed on, what you do with that feedback and how you better yourself. That's what matters. Sometimes I'll interview for a job and they'll pass on me and I'll say, well, what's the feedback? And they're like, oh, well, you don't have this. I'm like, oh, maybe I don't even want that job because I don't even want to do that. So that makes sense. Cool. Like sometimes it just works. So it's never a bad sign. There's always a positive in it. It's just kind of how you look at it. But coding exams are tough. They're going to be hard. They'll always be hard, but you will get better at them. They will become second nature that you're just like, okay, just got to bust this coding exam out real quick. You'll start to notice that a lot of the questions are going to be the same too. Like if you're doing like a front end coding exam with React, a lot of the prompts will be exactly the same because they pull them off the same website. It's like Code Signal, HackerRank. They're all the same tests. So they'll cycle them out and you'll get one and you're like, I literally just did this same coding assessment for like two other companies a week ago. So it's a little easier.
Okay, can I ask a question for Caroline?
Sorry, no, I was wanting to just last question about this. I wanted to just ask. So the take home is the first step, for example, and then the second step would be to do like a shared screen, for example. Is that usually the process, or it's usually
Depends.
just
It
depends?
depends. Yeah, it
Always
depends.
depends.
Sometimes you'll even see like they won't even do like a live coding assessment. If you do the take home, if you crush it and like they are super impressed, they won't have you do a live coding exam. But let's say they saw your take home and they're like, "Oh, I really love how she thinks. Like I can see her thought process. Like I think she's very smart." Maybe they'll ask you to do a live coding assessment just to have you like show a little bit more, like if they need more information. So it's back and forth, you know?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, just question for Caroline. What was the question? Is it a React question or the backend one?
Yeah, it was like a front end challenge. It was basically these live links. It was pretty simple. These links were supposed to move and go away like smoothly, and it was all just CSS and like a little bit of front end in
Uh-huh.
but it was
And
like I did everything in CSS, like I didn't use any packages or anything.
yeah, okay.
Hmm. Yeah, and you'll notice too, like sometimes the coding assessments will be a little off. Like if like that's another thing that I will say, don't be afraid to ask questions before you complete the exam. I've had some candidates that I'll send a coding exam to that comes from the client. And let's say it's a full stack role that focuses very heavily on front end, the entire coding assessment will be back end. And they'll call me and they're like, Shawn, I just want to make sure you sent me the right exam. Like this is all back end questions. Like I understand it's a full stack role, but this is very leaning heavy on the front end, right? And I'm like, no, you're right. Hold on, let me call the company, and I'll call them, and then they mistakenly sent the wrong exam to me.
Really?
So yeah, it's happened before. So because they have different links for different candidates. So if they're working on multiple roles, sometimes the wrong link will be sent out and be looking at a test and you're like, this has nothing to do with it, what this person talked to me about. Like why? Let me just reconfirm. Sometimes it's the right test too. And if that's the case, then cool, you have to just kind of figure it out. But sometimes it's the wrong test. They just completely sent you the wrong link, which happens. Mistakes happen. So if just never be afraid to ask questions. The worst case scenario is they're going to say like, yeah, no, that's the right one. And you're like, okay, cool. Thanks for letting me know. And then you just try to figure it out. But at least you know you're not wasting your time on like the wrong test or something like that.
I have a question, for when you're working with a recruiter, are they kind of reporting back to the company, like their whole, like all the interactions they have with the potential candidate? Like how, are they like saying, I'm just curious, does that make sense?
Kind of, yeah. So like you're saying for instance, like I'll talk to a candidate and then when I submit that candidate, I submit their resume. And then I also submit notes from our conversation too. So like I'll talk about their communication style, like how many teams they've worked with. If there's anything in their resume that isn't really there, that's more like untangible or like soft skills, I'll
Yeah,
input in like a blurb for that candidate, which is also
okay,
another benefit to working with an agency as well. Because when you go apply on LinkedIn, they don't give you like, I mean, I guess sometimes there's a cover letter section, but cover letters are kind of dying off. I don't really see many people ask for cover letters anymore.
mhm,
Um,
Get
and they
them.
just want resume and then they just control F that thing. Hey, control F Python, control F CSS, control F. Like they don't really look at anything anymore. So going into an agency, it's kind of nice because then they can give out a little bit more soft skills so they can understand what this person does and the personality that they're about to hire or about to talk to, things like that. The other piece, and I think this kind of goes to your question as well, feedback. After an interview, I call the candidate and we run through what they talked about, what kind of questions were asked. They cover the day-to-day of the role. Do you have any questions that you weren't able to ask? Like maybe you forgot them, or maybe like the tensions were really high and you just completely blanked and didn't ask a single question, which happens, and that's okay. You can talk to me and I can go back to the hiring manager and say, hey, Noah had a great first round. His feedback was really, really positive, really likes the team, likes the day-to-day work of the job. He did have a couple questions that he didn't feel like he got great answers to. Here's what those are. In round two, let's make sure we cover that so he can make a good decision on the position. So we do share feedback with the client. We do share like level of interest with the client. The other thing, working with agencies, be honest with how many clients you're interviewing with otherwise. It's just good for us to know where you're at in your process. A lot of recruiters will ask you like the specific name of company. The reason why they do that is just because they want to make sure that they're aligning everything. So if you're interviewing at five healthcare companies and they come to you with like a SaaS company, sometimes you just want to interview a healthcare company. So they just want to make sure it fits within what you're interviewing for. Also like the what's it called, like stage of process that you're in with those other companies. So if all of them are like final rounds and you got like four final rounds scheduled, and I call you and I'm like, hey, I want to start a brand new 3 round interview process with you that's going to take 3 weeks, and just be honest. Hey, so I'm so sorry. This role sounds fantastic. I got 3 other things that I'm expecting final interviews for. Let me go do these finals. Let me see if I get a job. If I don't get the job, I'll call you back. We can figure something out. But it's just be very transparent with these recruiters, because sometimes if someone told me that, I'd be like, okay, cool, hold on, you're perfect for this role. What I'll do is I'll rush my client for you so you can still make a decision on 5 positions instead of 4. How does that sound? And then they're okay, cool, like yeah, sure, but I have to know your timeline to do that. And then this way too, when I go to my client, I can say, hey, got this candidate, Noah. He's interviewing at Meta, Google, Microsoft, like all these, massive companies. He was very interested in the job description though, but he's in kind of late stages. If this person is someone you want to interview, we got to move quick or we're going to lose them. And then now your background looks way more important than anybody else's background because you're interviewing with 5 companies and we have 1 week to make sure we like you or not. It kind of just develops that a little bit for them. So yeah, I hope that answered your question.
yeah, that makes sense. And then I have another question too, as like a nervous interviewee, do you have any advice on, uh, like coming back into the interview if you get really nervous and frazzled? Um,
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Um, Different tactics work for different people.
mhm,
I would say that for me, what I've noticed is the best plan of action for just like nervousness during an interview is making sure that you're very prepared, whatever that means to you. Even if it's just like writing down some questions, jotting down your resume notes, really anything along those lines will help. Um, Granted, you might not use a single piece of your prep during the interview, but mentally you have it just in case things get weird. Um, the other thing that I like to do is anything that you're very confident speaking about, jot down on like a notepad before the interview. And then if they ever get to a point where they're like, is there anything you want to highlight about your background? It's always so awkward when a hire, and it's happened to me too, where I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's the one question you should just know. It's your background. They're not asking you anything specific. It's just like, hey, in your background, is there anything you want to highlight? Anything that you're super proud of? To me, it's such a hard question because you're like, are they looking for something specific? Do they want me to say like this thing? Or like, did they read something that they think that I think is important? So why did I not say that? It's just you think too much. So for me, I always like before an interview, I'll literally write down like, I'm proud of this. This is a project that I want to mention, or this was really hard and I did it, blah blah blah, whatever. Those are really good pieces. So then if someone asks you like, tell me a little bit about yourself. You can have boom, 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 like all these things that you can kind of go off of and just reignite the conversation. Um, but yeah, the preparation I think is probably the best thing to do. Look at their LinkedIn profiles. Look what college they went to. Do you know anyone that went to that college? Did you go to school at that college? Did you live around the college? I mean, anything that you can equate to that person. If they worked at a company that you have a friend that worked at, or you knew someone that worked there, like genuinely anything will help your overall confidence level on that call. And then lastly, when you're on the interview, if you ever get to a point where you are feeling genuinely nervous or you just kind of get choked up, your mind goes blank, um, pretend that you're already working there. I cannot believe how well this works. Just it's not an interview anymore. You're in a meeting now. You already have the job. You've worked there for 5 years. You're in a meeting talking about a project that your entire team is doing, and you're just giving your insight to what you would do if you already had the job. It pulls all of the weight of the interview away, and now you're just brainstorming with a fellow colleague. And it kind of helps. It's a little bit of role play. You kind of maybe have to be a little weird up top, like I am, but like it's just like it does help the whole process. Kind of like just everybody relax. We're all here together. We're just talking. So yeah, probably easier said than done.
Yeah. On that too, you had mentioned before that question that they always ask at the beginning, usually at least, is like, tell me a little about yourself. Um, for me, I usually kind of do like a very short summary of like my resume and then add in like fun facts. Is there anything, like, what would you advise like the way that they answer that?
It kind of just depends on your personality. If you want to go and talk just directly professional skills, you do that. I am I'm more personal. I like to include personal details about myself. I think it just like humanizes the individual. So you could even say something like, yeah, I mean, I grew up with three sisters. I came into tech because I was the at-home IT help desk person. I was helping my mom with tech. I was helping my grandma with tech, and it was just something that I really enjoyed. And I was a gamer when I grew up, things like that, and kind of give that personal background and then bleed it into your professional. Or you could literally go straight off the top and say, yeah, I got a degree in computer science from Northridge. I focus on full stack development with a heavy emphasis on front end. My tech stacks are React and TypeScript. I'm looking for a website development position, kind of similar to the one that you guys are talking to me about today, and I'm excited to learn more about it. And that could even be it too. So kind of just play with it. We call them elevator pitches about just kind of about yourself. The best way to practice those, the way that I did it, I called my mom and I was like, "Hey mom, you got 10 minutes?" Yeah, okay, cool. I'm gonna just start talking about myself and just tell me to stop and just go. Just talk about yourself. Your mom is your best critic. At least my mom is. My mom will tell me like, dude, don't say that. Or like like they're or a very close family friend, cousin, dad, whatever. Someone that's gonna tell you like it is who I think that's the best person to call and just be like, I'm gonna just run through this elevator pitch with you. I'm just trying to decide how I want to brand myself on these interviews. It's good to practice. The more
Yeah.
you say it out loud, the more it just flies out of your face and you have no idea. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just that was perfect. And it just kind of happens. So that could be good too. Yeah, Trey.
So speaking of this, I seriously, I mentally just my mind just goes in lockdown mode because I panic because I'm just not a good public speaker. Is it okay to read? I seriously, even like in front of the people I was with for 16 weeks, learning all this, I still have to write down my presentation because I just, is it okay to read or is that just too awkward?
It's okay to read. What I will say is with reading, try to have I call them talking points instead of full blown um, like a full-blown script. So if you want to start developing your elevator pitch, right, you can put like bullet one, you can say, 5 years experience XYZ. Bullet two, experience with, and then your tech stack. Bullet three, this. So now when you're in an interview, you can glance down at something, get your talk track, and then talk. And then when that's kind of finishing, you glance down again, get your next talk track, and then talk. So it's always good to be looking at the camera, from what I've realized, because you can tell, like, even if I'm sitting here looking at the camera, but I'm doing this, like you can tell that I'm trying to like read something while I'm talking to you. It kind of takes away from the investment of the interview. Whereas like if I'm over here and I just glance down real quick and I'm back, locked in, you still feel engaged with the interviewer. And you're still having kind of that template that you can follow. It's a little bit of a sales trick in how we sound like we're flowing through the conversation, but ultimately we're reading our notes, which does sometimes help too. Um, Hopefully that helps. Have you tried something like that before?
I mean, yes, and I mean the bullet points help, but I mean there are times I just, yeah.
Yeah. What you can also try to do too is literally write it out like you would normally, like if you're doing a presentation, um, and then read it like 2, 3 times a day and just until it's drilled in. And then at that point, then you can start practicing with anybody in your family or your life or just in general, friends. Honestly, pets, dude. I talk to my dog more than I probably should admit. Like you can do it to just say it out loud, make it natural of just like talking about your experience. And it doesn't need to be super in depth either. You guys are engineers. Like everything is very efficient. Efficiency is key in engineering and technology. So if you want to make your elevator pitch extremely efficient, hey, my name is Trey. I have 6 years of XYZ experience. I like to focus on these tech stacks, and typically I find myself in SaaS verticals and working with healthcare companies. Done. It kind of just works itself out and you find your comfortability limit within that. The only thing I will say is like when you are reading something word for word, it does sometimes, depending on how your level of reading and your level of engagement, it does sometimes take you out of the conversation and it feels like you're less engaged because you're just reading from a script. The other thing, this is more just me being in recruiting and me having just like a weird adverse to people that I feel that are fraudulent. If I see someone that's reading something word for word in a conversation, sometimes I'm like, do they actually know what they're talking about? Or are they reading from like someone else's notes or is ChatGPT feeding them answers to something? That's the only time that I feel really weird about it is like if I'm talking to somebody specifically about technology, if I ask them a question of like, hey, what's a Amazon or like an AWS S3 bucket used for? Something very specific. Or what's Redshift? Why do you use Redshift? If they're like Redshift is utilized for but, and I'm like, okay, you don't know what Redshift is. You just Googled it, and now you're telling me what the definition of Redshift is. So that stuff like that, I would kind of stray away from. Try to make yourself sound a little bit more, what's the best word? Real, I guess. I don't know. There's probably a better word, but to make it sound like it's your own words instead of plagiarizing like a Google review or a ChatGPT feedback loop or something like that. Not that that's what you were saying by any means, but that's just something that recruiters will see, and then they're like, I don't know, like if he was actually like engaged or knew what he was talking about, stuff like that. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly it. I mean, because it's just so easy to go chat GPT, how should I answer this? And I mean that's a fear of mine because I'm not I'm trying to be genuine. I
Yeah.
just I'm not a good speaker.
Yeah. And luckily most of engineering aren't. So you're not alone. That is something that people just kind of keep in mind. Like you guys are great with technology. It's not a public speaking job. There's aspects to it that is. I mean, if you're in management or you're showing results to C-level suite executives, things like that, sure, I guess. But there are also other aspects to technology where like there'll be weeks where you don't talk to someone. I used to work with people that were in software engineering roles in San Francisco that literally never saw their manager for like months. They just sat there and they would get emails for coding prompts. They'd sit there and code for 8 hours a day and then they'd leave. And then that was kind of it. Some of them never even left their house. They just worked from home. Every time I FaceTime them, they were in a hoodie and they're just in their room coding away. So like you said, it's I think it's give and take. Uh, what I will say is regardless of reading, um, taking a while to describe yourself, anything, passion and true knowledge will always be able to be seen. Always. I don't care how long it takes you to get it out, you're stuttering, if you repeat yourself, true knowledge and passion of work will always be able to be seen, even if you're reading from a script. Because you'll influx different words, you'll be able to answer questions differently than other people, things along those lines. So don't think too much about it. Once you overthink something, then it really, really becomes an issue. So just with practice, it will get easier. And then otherwise, just try to really give color in when they ask you questions and you're kind of free flowing of like whatever question they asked you or things like that. Don't be afraid to give great like quantitative detail during those answers because it'll kind of supplement maybe just like a lighter elevator pitch in the beginning of the interview.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Cool. Um, I'm kind of tapped, honestly. I think I don't want to like put too much out there because I feel like I'm like I said, I don't want to get too redundant from what we did last week. It seems like you guys are in a really good place. Is there anything else, any other topics, concerns, anything that you guys want to cover on this session?
I just wanted, I wanted to ask, do you work for an agency,
I do. Yeah, I work for an agency called Kate Force.
K-Force?
Mm-hmm.
And so then I can contact the agency, for example, and try to work with them, maybe? They can
Yeah, yeah. So the best way to work with an agency like that's the size of Kforce is to try to find roles online, like on our website that you think that you would be a good fit for. And then you can reach out to me and I'll point you in the right direction of who to be the best point of contact for that would be because we're nationwide and we have so many open positions with so many different clients, it's hard for me to just like do a quick search of what we have open. It's easier for you guys to do it on your end and then just send me the job details and then I can find the person from there. So yeah, absolutely. We're more than happy to help out. I would say that if you wanted to work with agencies, um, Kforce is a great one. Insight Global, I really like them. I have a lot of friends that work there. Um, Apex is a really good one. And then Beacon Hill isn't too bad either. They're a little bit more corporate, but they're not too bad. And then I think that's probably a good start. The only tricky part with um, some of your guys' positions, some of you guys have experience already, so this is not going to be for everyone. But if you are going more entry level, sometimes agencies don't typically get those entry level roles. Agencies are very expensive. So companies won't pay for us unless they have trouble finding that person. Finding entry level people typically isn't that hard. There's so many of them. The hard part about entry level is that there is so many of them. So you kind of have to weed through quite a few resumes to find the right person that you would fit the culture at XYZ. Um, but like I said, because they are more readily available, typically we don't get entry level roles that often. The roles that we get are typically harder to fill, like very niche, like software development positions for like financial analyst companies or an AI machine learning developer with like 10 years of experience developing like chatbots or something like that. Like DevOps is a huge one that we do. So like I said, the roles we get are a lot more niche, harder to fill just because we are expensive. So typically companies won't pay us unless they have trouble filling it. So just a grain of salt, you know what I mean? Just while you're looking at these agencies. Very good question.
Okay.
I bet.
Okay. Can we follow you on LinkedIn or like we
Yeah,
can?
yeah, absolutely. I thought I sent I'm pretty sure I'm connected with most of you guys now. But yeah, please send me messages if you want to shoot me your resume. I'm more than happy to look over it and give you any pointers or anything like that.
On
Um,
Slack, if you can send a message so we can see you.
I don't have Slack. Here, let me find you real quick. Yeah, I don't have Slack. I have to work off my company laptop and they're really specific with the technology that I can put on here. Do you have LearningFuze on your LinkedIn, Noah? Can't find you.
Yes. Let me give you my name on the chat so I can.
Yeah, Trey, I saw yours come in yesterday. Carolyn, I think I saw yours too.
Yeah, this is my name.
Oh, that's why. I was looking up Noah.
Yeah, my name is Naeem Kayat. Yeah, on LinkedIn.
Ah, here we go. I got you now. Perfect. Yeah, send me your resume there, and so I can help out. I'll make sure I look over it and give you any pointers if there's any. And that goes for any of you, anybody else too. If anybody wants to send me their resume, just to kind of look through it and make sure if there's anything I think you should add or take out or update or formatting or whatever. I'm here to help.
Can I share my resume? Remember when I
Yeah, yeah, you have it.
yeah, I already have it. Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
let me share my screen. You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
You can see my resume.
Okay, good. I like that you have your skills. I like that your GitHub is available as well. That's nice. Um,
um,
and then for Cooking Wizard, the like let's say like the UI layout you did, is that on your GitHub? Can people see that work?
yes, you can see.
Perfect. Okay, good, good, good. I like that you bolded your technologies too. You don't need to do that, by the way. I think it's helpful to, but it's definitely not needed. I like it personally. Sometimes you will work with agencies where they like you to unbold them. But I don't know. I like it. I think it helps people just like their eye draws right to what they're looking for. You know what I mean? Um, and then your professional experience down there too.
Yeah, it's unrelated. It's kind of that's the thing. Do I need to remove all that or just?
If you wanted to, you totally could. It's up to you. It's up to you. If there's more detail, so watch, scroll up a little bit into like the technology stuff.
No, no technology, just
No, no, no. Scroll up above the professional experience, right there where your projects. If there's more information you can add to the projects, so like just more detail. I mean, as I'm reading them, I don't really know what else you would put in there. But if there's anything, any like quantitative, like how long it took you or the
the thing
results.
is I'm trying to fit it in one page.
Yeah, see, that's the other thing. For your guys' level of experience, one page is definitely good. Um, if you can add more detail under projects, I say remove the professional experience that isn't related to tech. If that's all the
Yeah.
detail you can put in there, keep the professional experience in there because I like the way it fills it. Um,
So instead of professional experience, I can put like another project.
yeah, you can put another project or you can add detail to the projects you already have up there.
Okay.
So like the last bullet you have on one of those projects is managed version control with GitHub or Git or GitHub and deployed via GitHub pages. So like it's a great bullet, but what was it for? Was it for a specific project? What teams did you support while you're pushing that out? Just various details like that could be something that you can add to it. I'm just trying to think of ways that you could make those a little bit longer to fill the page out. Um, I would fear of being too wordy, to be honest with you. I already like what you have, so maybe play with it a little bit. But so far, your detail is really good. I don't, yeah. Have you been having good luck with this resume? Sending it out?
No, yeah, because I haven't finished my GitHub yet and my LinkedIn. I'm on like,
Okay.
yeah, so yeah, um,
Yeah, finish that up, and then once that's done, I think it's a very good start. I think it's very good. The only thing, like I said, was maybe the professional experience that doesn't have anything to do with technology. If there's anything else that you can add or in place of that, sure. I get why you have it in though, for the record. Like I know you want it to fill a full page and not look like just like half a page or something like that. That's a
um,
little weird. So
my question is if the employer doesn't see any, like, is gonna see a gap, so what I should tell him, like, okay,
just
well,
be yeah, just be honest. I would say like if there's gaps for like let's say you were in school or you were in classes or you had to do something for family or home life or whatever, just be honest with it. The only time that I think gaps don't work out is when a candidate said like let's say they have like a 2 year gap and I ask them, all right, well, so you had a 2 year gap, what happened during those 2 years? If they say like nothing. I'm like, you didn't apply to any jobs or anything in 2 years? No. Did you do any side projects? No. Okay, we'll we'll be doing for 2 years. Like that, sometimes that is where clients will get a little iffy and they'll ask more questions. But let's say you had a 2 year gap, but you got like 3 certifications and you did a 6 month contract with somebody, or you helped your friend build a website, or you unfortunately had like something happen with your family and you had to pull out of work and go support your family or go move home for a month or whatever. Those are all things that you're allowed to say during interviews. So just speak to the gaps. Make sure you can talk to why there is gaps in your employment, um, and then you should be fine.
okay, so we just, yeah, so the professional experience we need like and instead of professional experience, just add another project because obviously it's not, are not related at all. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, if sometimes they won't even ask about the gaps of employment either. They have to catch it, you know. And if they catch it, fine. Just you can talk to them about it. But and then also, if you wanted to, you can say like, yeah, during this gap, I did this. You know, I think that's okay. You guys are just now starting your careers into this industry too. So like for someone to expect you to have like a consecutive like 3 years of internships or something like that, the no, not too many people have the ability to do that.
Okay. Yeah.
Hmm.
So want me to stop sharing or
Yeah, yeah, no, that's good. Send it to me too, real quick on LinkedIn. I just sent you a connection request. Send it over to me too, because I wanna take a closer look at it and see if I can
Yeah,
help you add
yeah,
any
please.
detail.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
I think I can also show you my resume.
please, yeah, yeah. If you want to show it to me now, you can, or you can also send it to me on LinkedIn too, whatever's easier.
Okay, I'll show you real quick. So mine kind of went down to 2 pages, but I just have kind of the same format. Like I have 3 bullet points here for each project, and I have the skills. I have my previous work experience. Like I was initially also thinking because I used to be in sales, so I was thinking I can get into like sales and tech or something
Hmm.
before applying for actual like finding jobs.
Oh.
But yeah, it looks kind of just the same like Noah's the layout. So
No, I like this though. The sales and tech thing might be kind of cool. So there are roles. They're called sales engineers or like pre-sales engineers or pre-sales support is just something like another word that they use. Um, Basically what that position does is you would work for like a software company. Are you familiar with something like that?
a little bit, but not exactly. No.
Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, you would work for like a SaaS company or like a platform as a service or software as a service or something along those lines. And the sales team calls a bunch of people and like they generate interest in them and things like that. And then they pull you in and you go and work with that client to say like, all right, what's your tech stack currently? This is how we could this is how this product can sit within your tech stack. These are the tools that we can integrate with this tool, things along those lines. So with that bullet, if that's an avenue that you're interested in, you can add a lot there. And especially because you have a good idea of just like speaking to people and you're not afraid to have conversations. It's really good for a sales engineer because you're going to have to talk to a lot of clients. You're going to have to kind of walk them through the product and teach them how to use it and say like, this is how you get the best result from our product. So it's called sales engineering or pre-sales
Perfect.
engineering. It's might be a good avenue for you to look into as well.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah, send me yours too. I want to take a closer look at it to see if I can help you out any detail. But it's like I said, so far it looks great. I don't know if you guys have like a resume building like portion of your program, but your guys' resumes are
Yeah,
perfect
I
so
think
far.
we did. We built it at
Oh,
the beginning, so.
nice. Okay,
So,
so you
Yeah,
guys are
I
good
use
then.
the CV flow.
Perfect.
all
All right,
right.
good. Awesome. Cool. Well, I think that's pretty much it for today. If you guys have anything else, please connect with me on LinkedIn. Let me know if you need any other help, and we can kind of go from there.
Sounds good.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thank you, Shawn.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Hey.